Welcome back, you guys. Welcome back. Here we go. Here we go. Been having a chance to kind of look at a few things going on. Just logging in this morning, making sure everybody is all ready to go. As you can see, the screen has been pretty busy, but if you are joining me, thank you. It's Wicked Raider 22. There are a couple of things that have definitely been creeping out to me, but I thought about this the other day. You see a lot of videos that definitely talk about champions that we should be looking forward to, champions that we should absolutely keep, champions that are 6-star worthy. This is what I started thinking about even more often. What happens when we come to the point in our journey where we are no longer, or we haven't reached the point where we're pulling those champions at the very beginning game that are on those lists? Like, I pull up YouTube video after video, and it's not shocking that a lot of those champions I've never seen before or I haven't garnered access to just yet. Especially when we're talking about champions that are only in Doom Tower, for example, fragment champions, a lot of our legendary champions. Honestly, beyond that login champion, which is probably going to be your first personal legendary, and unless you have I guess like a paid account and you are really dropping things in, there are a lot of champions that will not come your way early. And so, what I want to do, since we have a number of factions, I think we're up to what, 15 now, 14? There are a couple of uncommon champions. There are a couple of lower champions that you're going to pull all the time. And some of these champions I pulled on my personal account and I've had a chance to work with. But a lot of our common champions, even, it may be a couple of gems. So I'm going to go through number one, the champions that you're going to pull the most, the ones you're going to see all the time. And we're going to start with common champions. We're in Bannerlords. And when you're looking at swordsman, pikeman, axeman, and bandit, I can tell you now you're going to pull these guys all the time. All four of these guys are food. So it doesn't really matter. You're going to notice pretty quickly, many of them only have one skill. They're attacking one enemy at a time. These champions, if you ever needed somebody just to simply take up space, they're going to fit the bill. So they're coming in with a simple slash attack. It's always going to be that one enemy. They can place a couple of buffs depending on what they're doing, but none of these champions would be worth the resources you would end up putting into them. Not under Bannerlords. Now, moving on to high elves, a lot of people will obtain a number of champions that will fall under the high elf category. And these can be some really great champions. And in this area, we don't necessarily have commons. So we're going to look at the uncommons, and you're going to pull these guys all the time. Aristocrat is going to be a top one. You will pull this young lady at least 1,000 times within your first couple of weeks of play. You will notice as you're going from common to uncommon, you will definitely see that you're going to end up with a few more skills. She comes with sepsis tips, for example. So she does have that heal reduction. She will attack one enemy. If you don't have anyone else that actually performs this skill, it may make you kind of pause and think about it. Because if you're to the point where you're hitting those enemies that are constantly healing themselves, you probably have access to better champions you just weren't aware of. Her second attack, of course, is Stinging Rebuke, which she's going to deal that weaken. So the reduction, the weaken is going to be her thing. She still attacks one enemy 2 times. And for a lot of my lower champions, this is where the biggest issue comes in with uncommon and common. And we'll go back to Bannerlords and look at those uncommon as well. Now, another one. Jaeger is going to be one that you will pull quite a bit. One thing I can tell you about Jaeger right off, Jaeger can be used for fusions. So as you're pulling copy after copy of him, make sure you put at least one of those copies into your vault. So I've been pushing everybody to kind of do that one. And even if you look at the reviews, it'll give you a feel. There are some areas where he can be really good at. So a lot of people give him a 4 campaign, arena, even in force keep. Minotaur's Labyrinth. So even commons and a couple of uncommons can definitely have a place within your toolbox. He's going to come with the shackle shot, so a decreased speed approach, and of course you have freezing arrow, which he's going to place that freeze debuff for 1 turn. The good thing is you can book out these champions pretty easily because you're receiving so many copies of them. So common, uncommon, save your books. You're going to be pulling these guys from those shards all the time. So Elfguard is another one. I've managed to keep Elfguard long enough to bring her to a 3-4 star before she became food for another champion. She does come with puncture, so you have that effect of decreased attack. She's not hard to book up, so we can take this from a 25 to a 45% chance, which isn't bad. She also has the ability to decrease the turn meter by 50%. I have seen a number of people that will hold on to Elfguard because of her impact on the turn meter. If you are thinking about crypts, if you are thinking about certain dungeons, a couple of bosses that you start getting to, this becomes really, really important, especially when we start edging toward those areas with dragons or those that refill their turn meter. The other thing is it's already on a 2-turn cooldown. If you book her far enough, you can get it down to a 1. And you will pull her often enough. She will pop up often enough within the marketplace as well for you to get her there. Now, let's go back because I want to take a look at the rest of the uncommons for Bannerlords. So we did commons. As you can see, even on this, even on our current account, we pulled all these guys. I have Stalwart. I've pulled him several times on my personal account. I haven't managed to keep him. Out of all of these guys, I actually use all of these guys as food. So Archer, you're going to pull her quite a bit. She does have double shot, so attacks one enemy 2 times. It's always nice if they're attacking more than one enemy. As many times as you receive her, you can definitely book her up and increase the chance of inflicting a critical hit. So if I'm going through and let's say I got rid of Sniper by accident, or I haven't made it to Eris, I haven't made it to probably Sniper and Eris are the first 2 that come to mind. If you didn't have a starting champion like Elhain, nobody with a bow, and you just want someone, then you're going to pull Archer. Rain of Arrows, you can see the books start stacking up a little bit. This is the same attack that Sniper has. She's just going to have the lower version of that same skill. It does decrease speed, and of course, it is attack based as well, but Archer is going to be food. Stalwart is kind of the same thing, attacks that one enemy. He can block active skills debuffs for 1 turn. Not hard to book either. You're going to pull enough of him. He does place a stun. If you are to the point where having a champion with the ability to stun an enemy would be helpful, he's a good one. Now, what I wish I saw here was a cooldown. Like if you could take this from a 2 to a 1, he would kind of fall into the same category as Elfguard. But the stun can be kind of important until you garner a champion, usually a rare you're going to pull that has the same ability. Until then, you can hold on to them, buck them up, and then once you get them to a higher level, if you get another champion that's a little bit more qualified, you can definitely use them as food. Reviews are going to be mediocre, so right in the middle at best. That 3.7 down to 3.4 is what we're seeing for him. Word bearer for me has been automatic food. I haven't found very many situations for her to be any different. I can tell you this, I don't pull her enough to even think about going this far with her. She does have that decreased accuracy. Not the most impressive, of course. Places a 30% increased debuff on allies for 2 turns with the Royal Shield. You can take this from a 3-turn cooldown down to a 1. So that part is kind of nice. But remember, with common and uncommon champions, I would book them based on pulling duplicates or getting them from the shop, not using actual books. Duelist is another one. You're going to pull her a lot. So the more you play, the more campaign farming you're doing, the more mystery shards you're going through, she's going to pop up quite a bit. She does heal by 20% of the damage that is inflicted as a attack-based champion. And she also has stunning slice. So she attacks one enemy, has a 50% chance of placing a stun debuff for one turn. So both her and Stalwart kind of fall into the same category. If you're looking for that particular skill, her design is kind of awesome. But she will be a limited niche kind of champion that you could easily replace as you're moving up and start getting better shards. Commander is another one. You're going to pull her pretty often. You can book her if you are running her through, for example, you don't have enough champions for a faction war, then she would fall into that category as well. So Holy Fire, Holy Fire, the number of books. She does place a stun. A lot of these guys for Bannerlords are going to fall into the stun category. That can be definitely increased. Her damage alone, if you're going to book this far, can be increased by 40%. That buff debuff chance can be increased by 10%. Quick heal is another one. So heals the ally with the lowest HP by 40% of this champion's HP. So if you're going to use her for this ability, you would definitely need to buck up her HP. Completely fills the target's turn meter, which is helpful if the ally is fully healed, which is unlikely. This champion's turn meter cannot be filled by this skill. So it would be nice if it had an impact on her. It's on a 4-turn cooldown. You can get that down to a 2-turn cooldown, but it's Commander. You're going to see her a lot, so she is definitely there for you. Squire is another one. Automatic food, guys. He attacks one enemy. Boom. Overhead swing is all we've got going. Weapon Breaker attacks all enemies, has a 30% chance of placing a 25% debuff for 2 turns. Doesn't take very much to book him up and to get this down to a 2-turn cooldown, if that's what you want to do. But yeah, no. Squire turns into food. Every now and then he'll creep through and go to a higher star level just because of the champions that we're working with, but that's kind of where that one falls. Fireblade, I haven't pulled her as much. Now there are certain champions you're going to see all the time. We'll probably open a couple of shards so you guys will know exactly what I'm talking about. She is Burning Spear. Attacks one enemy, places a 25% decrease attack debuff for 2 turns. And you're going to notice this a lot. These are usually your champions that you are campaigning with. They're going to die off in their first round. They may make it to a second round. And then your lead champion is going to push the group through at the end. She also has Path of Flame. Attacks one enemy 3 times, which can be helpful. Each hit has a 30% chance of placing a 2.5% poison debuff for 2 turns. You can get the cooldown on this one. If I don't have another champion that does the poison, just like the stun, I would hold on to her for a little second because you can bump her up a couple of stars and then use her as food later and not feel guilty. Frontline Warrior, this dude's face. I promise y'all, this dude's face is always killing me. It's like they were trying to come with something pretty standard, but his face is just too much. All right, we're looking at a defense-based champion. He attacks one enemy. Boom. Very simple and straightforward. He will, for his second attack, Comrades in Arms, places a 25% ally protection buff on the ally with the lowest HP for 2 turns, and then grants an extra turn. It's on a 4-turn cooldown. You can get it to a 3. Frontline Warrior is automatic food for me. So, who looks just like Swordsman, by the way. You see, I had to go back and forth. And then Swordsman takes you, of course, back to your commons. So you'll notice these guys may look different, but once you click into them, they're going to hit you about the same. So we've done Bannerlords. We've taken a look at High Elves. Let's go to Sacred Order and look at our commons and uncommons. And they have quite a few. Now, if we start with our common, I will tell you this. We pulled all these guys. We pulled all these guys several times, actually. And the number one common champion from Sacred Order that I've heard about would actually be Sister Militant. Now, Sister Militant is pretty straightforward. She attacks all enemies, which I am really liking that. You can increase the amount of damage that she's throwing out by 20%, and she's an attack-based champion. What I do like with her one skill, you aren't ascending her to very much. You aren't doing any of that. You are literally getting copies of her, getting her to her full 20% potential, popping her in and letting her just swash across in the early game. That can be really, really helpful. So I just pulled a copy of her. I'm going to be working on getting duplicates of her to book her up, and then we're going to run her as well. So Sister Militant by far is the main one that everyone kind of pulls from the category. Preacher is another one, does a decreased attack. You're going to have a lot of champions that will take over with the decreased attack. Has a 25% of placing that debuff out there. Her damage can be increased by 25%. You're also going to run into Niche Neck is another one. Kind of reminds you of Armiger. He's kind of like the lower version as well, but attacks one enemy. Guys, when I get to attacks one enemy, I'm kind of done in that area. You're going to have so many hard hitters where at least if they're hitting only one enemy, that enemy is dead, just first whip. And these are not the guys really for it. So as I'm going through and just looking down here, by far, Sister Militant would be my number one. All right, so coming up to uncommons, a lot of you guys are going to start with Crusader. Normally Crusader is the third or fourth champion that you're going to pull. So if you have a brand new account, you're probably going to get Sniper first. War Priest is going to be at the end of that first campaign run. And during that campaign run, you will normally pull Crusader. Crusader is one of those, looks pretty good. I'm feeling the outfit, feeling the sword especially. But he has attacks one enemy 2 times. You can definitely book that up 20%. And then attacks one enemy with one random ally. The ally joining the attack will use their default skill. Rally is a skill that you will also get with War Priest. Rally is a skill that you will get with many champions throughout Sacred Order, throughout, there are probably 2 other banners that I'm thinking about where that skill is going to come into play. It can be helpful if you have a pretty powerful champion. If I have him on a team, for example, with anybody, it's nice if he's been, just leveled up a little bit. But Crusader in this category is not my favorite. I have held on to him a little bit longer than others, only because he was an early champion. I was kind of pushing myself to use champions that I had not used before. Now, Armiger is a favorite of a lot of people. Armiger has actually been one of those that some champions will take into mid and early in game. He's really, really good with getting things just started. I don't even know any other way to put it. But here's why I finally held on to a copy of Armiger, because I'll be honest, I pulled him, guys, so many times and got him confused with other champions, and I used him as food. And so this time I'm like, nope, I'm going to do it. So he attacks one enemy, decreases the turn meter by 30% if his attack is critical. And this 30% can be elevated to, especially when we're looking at damage, we can increase that damage by 20%. So crit rate is going to be important for him. It's not really hard to get that up either. Attacks one enemy killed by this skill cannot be revived. One of the top reasons that many vets are holding on to an Armiger in their little toolbox is because of this skill here. You can put this, it's already on a 2-turn cooldown. You can bring it down to a 1, which will be even better. And this is dependent on this the enemy's max HP. Sorry, so early in the morning. So defense is the name of the game for him. Getting this number as high as possible. I would definitely work on increasing his speed, but whatever that enemy's max HP is, that's what we're looking for. And that block revive can be really important. If you're thinking about Ice Golem, for example, let's look at these reviews. Spider's Den, Fire Knight's Ice Golem were the first ones I kind of thought of, where he has some of his highest ratings. Minotaur's Labyrinth, Force Keep. So notice in those dungeons, he is so helpful. He's not going to be your best campaign runner. He's not going to be the best In the arena, we know in arena, it's all about speed. It's all about nuking. It's all about reviving. So in dungeons, Armiger is your friend. Early game, guys, once you unlock it, those first couple of levels, even in the crypts, and the dens will be pretty hard for you. So he's one that can jump in and make a difference. Definitely will recommend upgrading and holding on to Armiger until your game develops later on. Now, I've Battle Sister. She's another one that does impact the turn meter by 10%. Not the top of my list kind of champion. She also has a 15% chance of removing one random buff from the target. This attack is always critical, which just is kind of nice. I like the word always. So for Sever and for Condemn, I have not held on to a Battle Sister. She tends to become instant food for me. But if you take a look at some of the reviews, some people appreciate the reviews, some people don't. Guys, another tab beyond ratings that's important. If you don't look at recommended artifacts, this can be really helpful as well, because these are all artifacts that you're going to be pulling from campaign. So there's no need to forge. There's no need to, go in to make a purchase or anything. So this can definitely be worth it. But I haven't kept her. It's one of those where I do have other champions that will do the same thing. And so she hasn't made my list. So looking at Sacred Order, I will go with Armiger, of course. You're probably going to run with Crusader just for a little bit. And these will probably replace, Armiger will likely replace him. You may also decide just to keep War Priest and sacrifice Crusader. And of course, Sister Militant has her purpose as well. So she may be another one to hold on for a little bit. Last but not least, for this particular video, we're going to break this one up in parts. We're going to look at Barbarians. Guys, Barbarians is an area where a lot of these champions are very dependent on where your team sits, where in your gameplay you're located. And we'll talk about those. But let's come down to our common and uncommon. They only have one common, which is Bully. Bully for me is food. Kind of reminds you of another champion that we're really excited about, but it's one skill. He attacks one enemy. Now you can book this. You're going to get enough. I mean, you can increase damage by 30%, but he will be all defense based. But yeah. So no, this guy for me has been food for the majority of the time. I'm looking here. I will tell you guys now, and you know it is coming. Hands down, one of my top common, uncommon champions, Shield Guard. Shield Guard, do not sleep on my boy. Shield Guard can be obtained through campaigning. You will see him rotate in the shop, in the market every now and then, but by far, campaign farming is where it's at with him. He has the uppercut, attacks one enemy, has a 30% chance of placing a 15% decreased speed debuff for 2 turns. Damage inflicted is proportional to his defense. So you want to rock him out very defense heavy. The other thing you want to do, though, is you want to work on his speed just a little bit. Shield Guard can be slow. He doesn't have to be the fastest on your team, but you do want him coming in right after your nuker, because he can definitely hit with a punch. Now, battle stance attacks all enemies. I love this. Fills this champion's turn meter by 20%. Loving this. With each critical hit, damage inflicted is proportional to his defense. So again, you're going to be running him in artifacts that are heavily pushing his ability to hit and hit hard, especially when you acquire someone on the team that's going to keep him alive. It starts with a 3-turn cooldown. You can bring it down to more additional times. So, hey, if you plan on getting duplicates, which honestly, guys, if you are campaign farming, you're going to receive duplicates of him. I would definitely use that as my major way to book him, because I can just keep running that section over and over again. But this guy even has a passive, removes 1 debuff from this champion each turn. So he's going to have a way to kind of support himself. Definitely worth booking. I am going to take Shield Guard to 6 stars. And when we're talking about 6 stars, once you guys make it to 4 stars, you're going to start noticing the amount of resources that have to go in to keep that going. So I'll tell you from here, Shield Guard is definitely going to be worth it. I have him on this account. I have him on my personal account. It took me a couple of weeks on that personal account to realize how important Shield Guard could actually be. But Ash Raid Shadow Legend, he talks about him all the time. And as you can see, campaign, Spider's Den, Minotaur, Arena, guys, he is such a nice champion. What do they recommend you put him in? Give him a little protection as far as keeping him alive. Put that defense percentage here, defense percentage on the gauntlet as well. There's defense on that shield. So, and then attack, because you're going to make sure he's in that defense set to start off. All of these are going to pour you back into what he's going to be best known for, which is hitting and hitting hard, especially when it comes to that second attack. So Shield Guard, most definitely worth it. Here's another one you're going to hear from in this section who I keep working to book her, but the problem is I acquired Zephyr Sniper a little too late in my game, and we are still early game as far as I'm concerned. But Zephyr Sniper is one of those. It has 2 skills. She is defense based, but she attacks all enemies on that first attack. There's an AoE. So it has a 15% chance of increasing the cooldown of a random skill on each target by 1 turn. This, when you are fresh out, if you have Kale, for example, already on your team, let's say you selected him as your lead. So you have Kale. I've seen teams that also have Deliana, who has the ability to hit all enemies. They may still have their sniper, who's going to hit, has the ability with that second attack to hit all enemies. And then you're coming in with Zephyr Sniper. She is often referred to as a secondary sniper, but a lot of people agree that she does it better. Now, if you have Elhain, you won't need her as much. I've actually, on this particular account, I want to run Elhain, Sniper, and Zephyr Sniper and Eris all the same time. I know, y'all. I know. It's so redundant. It's such a repeat. But just to see all attacks, whether it is their first or second attacks go through, is something I am really excited to see. So I'm trying to hold on to her. She is available through mystery shards. You can get her in the market. I've seen her pop up a few times. I want to say you may also be able to get her through campaign. For some reason, I feel like she's been dropped before as well, but I'm not sure. I do know you will get a couple of copies of her. I just, and I think I'm having to do it now. I've got her up to 4 stars, but I need her to elevate another champion. So it's one of those. She does have that second attack, so places a 7.5% continuous heal buff on all allies for 2 turns. It's already at a 4-turn cooldown. You can get it to a 3, which is pretty nice. So she's worth it. Looking at reviews, a lot of people say she can be queen in the Spider's Den. And this is one area where I'm definitely going to try her out once I have her equipped like I want. She doesn't kill all the spiders, which is really, really nice. You can keep them occupied. There are a lot of recommendations. If you are in Spider's Den and you're kind of stuck right now, instead of killing the smaller spiders, you want some champion that can either do HP burn if you're lucky, or can stun. Can even be a good one. But you want to keep the babies occupied so that you're able to reach the mother spider. And that's kind of the recommendation there. With her, you're looking at adding a little accuracy and then focusing everything on defense to make sure you're getting the max out of this particular champion. So Zephyr Sniper can definitely be on your list. And those are going to be my top 2 for uncommon. I just downloaded or just acquired actually Dervish, which reminds you of Zephyr Sniper, the other color version. Looks really nice. And that's my favorite color. She's in the barbarian category, still there. So she comes with Flurry, attacks 2 times at random, has a 25% chance of placing a 30% debuff for 2 turns. If you are extremely early game and you've been lucky enough to get an Eris, if you level up Eris and run her with Dervish. I can tell you based on my other accounts, these two ladies with that random attack, it's pretty impressive. Elhain is another one. It's kind of redundant to have all of them, but depending on where you are in the game and who you're attacking, those attacks will take out those first two waves instantly. So it's one of those. I've kind of had the experience of been playing back and forth with. I've done it with Sniper as well in the mix, but anyone who has either that boost, that increased taking that extra turn, for example, is another one, or they're just random. She also does a ceiling arrow. So attacks one enemy, has a 50% chance of placing a 50% heal reduction debuff for 2 turns. Remember, with common and uncommon, we have a few that do heal reduction. And because she is attack based, she's often easier to place artifacts on. But you also notice that, man, this buff debuff, you can add 50%. So you can actually get this to 100% and bringing it down to pretty much a 2-turn cooldown. So with Dervish, she can be extremely niche. You may only use her in one area. I think I'm going to build her out just to use her in Spider's Den. But my problem is I'm starting to get a lot of champions that I'm really interested in. I may have to vault them just to kind of put them out of sight, out of mind, because I don't want to get rid of them. But it's hard to let certain ones go, especially when you know they may serve a really good purpose. And Spider's Den is actually one of those areas that I've kind of gotten stuck in. So in the uncommon, Shield Guard, Zephyr Sniper, and Dervish are going to be other ones. I was excited when I first saw Headtaker. I love the way she looks. Love it, love it, love it, locks and all. But I went to her kit. Carb up, she's going to hit that one enemy. Kind of started reminding me of Bannerlords. So I wasn't excited on that one with that 20%. And then attacks one enemy, has a 50% chance of decreasing the turn meter. The turn meter comes back again. That percentage, and we're just looking at the buff debuff chances, you can buck it up 25%. So, but she doesn't have a lot of reviews, and like I assume, campaign, Minotaur, arena is probably going to be her strongest area. If you have to use her, Faction Wars is another one that will make you come back and pull a lot of these champions. Now, what you can do, and what I've thought about doing, is saving a copy of all of my common, uncommons that I have interest in, booking them as I get duplicates, but then just letting them sit for a while. So that's kind of the other thing I've been putting in my mind, because you pull so many. And my biggest fear is when I need them, or when I may, can likely use them, they won't be there. Spiritwalker is another one that you're going to pull. Spiritwalker, pretty different design, not very much clothing, but she comes to you with Cripple, which attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 20% chance of placing a 25% decrease attack debuff on the target for 2 turns. And it is, of course, an attack base. You can increase that damage by 10%, increase the buff debuff by 25%. And then Battle Trance removes all debuffs from this champion. And it's this word right here that's just killed it. She can remove debuffs from herself, which can be, pretty nice. She does have that increased attack for 2 turns, but honestly, kind of a selfish champion, not very impressive. Another one you're going to pull will be Crusher. Crusher, the red version of my other girl. Love the look, love the feel, but attacks one enemy, already a turn off, has a 25% chance of placing a 25% debuff for 2 turns. You can get that 25% up to a 35%, but not really impressed there. Savage Swipe is another one. Attacks one enemy, places a counterattack buff on this champion for 2 turns, but it's only on this champion. So a lot of my barbarians end up coming across as selfish champions, to be honest. They're only either healing themselves, shielding themselves, or debuffing themselves. Let's hit one more that I pull pretty often, which is Sandbow. Sandbow could have potential. He's not heavily reviewed, but oh my gosh, he's not loved either at all. Sandbow, he attacks one enemy with Let It Fly. You can get that percentage up by 35%. And the number of just duplicates, because books would be non-existent here. The number of duplicates just to pull this one attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 15% chance of placing a 15% weakened debuff. To be honest, at this stage of the game, you aren't encountering those enemies where he would really be extremely helpful. So, guys, there we go. We've had a chance to do Bannerlords through Barbarians. We'll come back and take a look at those common uncommons in our other factions. But if you have made it this far, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe for me. Let me know, who do you guys like in each of our first 4 areas? We're looking at all the Talarians in this particular area. So, who are your favorite common uncommons that fall into each group or category? Leave it in the comments below for me. And hey, we're always doing content dropping Monday through Friday. I will talk to you guys soon. Have a good one.